So exactly a year and a half ago, I quit my cozy tech job that was paying me $135K a year to start my own business. Now I run a paid ads agency with my fiance, and we've grown it to a full-time team of 13 people. So I'm here to tell you what my experience was like working in corporate for 4 years right out of university, what made me want to quit, what gave me the courage to finally take that leap of faith, and finally what it's really like after quitting your 9 to 5 and giving up a consistent and stable income. So right out of university, I landed my first job at L'Oreal as a brand manager. L'Oreal was the #1 beauty company in the world. It was a big brand name. My parents recognized it. They thought that I made it. I mean, I thought I made it. They bragged it to their friends. They were super happy, and I felt like I was set for life. My salary at the time was $72,000 a year, and I was living on my own for the first time in Montreal. The work hours were long, anywhere from 50 to 65 hours a week. People would regularly stay after 5. I probably stay till 7 or 8 or 9, depending on the day. And maybe this is a mix of, the Asian culture and just me being a young keener. I felt like I needed to pay my dues and work really, really hard, and that I really wanted to prove to myself that I had the work ethic, that I was able to work hard. So the job itself was really glamorous. On my very first week, I was in charge of designing the ads that we would put up on the Yorkdale shopping mall billboards. So for those of you who don't know, Yorkdale is probably one of the biggest malls in North America. It's definitely the biggest mall in Toronto. I would work with big fancy agencies to run TV commercials, the largest retailers in the country for these promotions. And so it all looked good and fancy from the outside, but in reality, I felt like I was just a glorified project manager, because even though you're a brand manager and they call you the mini CEO of this line of product, at the end of the day, your manager or director, they're the ones that are really in charge. You're just kind of doing the legwork. 2 years later, I feel kind of burnt out. I'm not really happy at my job, and my friend Jamie calls me up. She started this company with her friend called Remix Snacks, where it's basically these chocolate snacks that are very healthy. They're high in fiber, high in protein, because they infuse beans with it, and then they also use fruits that visibly are imperfect, so the grocery store would have thrown them out. They take it and then they dehydrate it and add it to the chocolate. So they got into Dragon's Den, which is the Canadian version of Shark Tank, and they actually got 2 of the dragons to say yes. They got an investment, she got a grant from McGill, and so she calls me up and she's like, "Hey James, you're my only friend who's in marketing. I want to take this thing full time when I graduate. What should I do?" And in that moment, I just realized I don't fucking know, and that's what I told her. Because L'Oreal is a 100-year-old company that's worth billions of dollars. I mean, I was 24 at the time. I'm a 24-year-old kid out of university. What am I gonna do to really impact the brand? I'm just here. I'm just a cog in the machine running and managing these large and complex systems that are in place. I don't know jack shit about taking a brand new product and actually marketing it and growing it. I really wanted to learn a skill set that is actually useful on its own versus something that's only useful in a pre-existing system that's already built. On a side note, if you're not sure if your skill set is useful, the best way to test it is, can you get someone outside of your 9 to 5 job to pay you to do a fraction of what you do at work for them, right? So as a freelancer, as a consultant, can you get someone to do that for you? Can you get someone to pay you for what you do? And if the answer is no, your skill set is probably not that useful. So luckily, COVID happened in 2020. I was able to move back home and live with my parents at the time, and I basically just quiet quit. I honestly just did the bare minimum at work. I spent a lot of time trying to learn Facebook and Google ads. I was working with my friend Jamie for free running their Facebook ads, and I remember clearly that we spent about $15 on one ad, and that ad had one purchase, and I woke up on Saturday morning, and that's when I saw it on the Facebook app on my phone, and I literally just freaked out. I was like, holy shit, this thing actually works. I spent $15 and I got one purchase, and someone actually bought it for $30 or $40. So that was a 2 or 3x ROAS. And so that was really this really big aha moment for me that this thing is real. It actually works. Outside of working for free with Jamie, I was really lucky at the time to have a mentor, Quentin. He was working in growth and performance marketing for 2 years, and then I was just asking him for some help and guidance, and then he had a client, and he basically offered to mentor me and work on this client with me. I'll teach you what I know, which is really crazy because that client was my first client, and they're actually still with me today about 3.5 years later. I had about 3 to 4 months of experience learning and running Facebook and Google ads at the time, and I used that experience to transition out of brand marketing into growth marketing. It was a really hard transition, but I made it work, and I got an offer with Turo to become a growth marketer. The job actually paid about the same. It wasn't really much of a raise at $75,000, but the stock options that they offered was worth about $20,000 a year. But the thing is, nobody knows how much the stock options are actually worth, but most people, including me, just kind of count it as part of the salary. It's a little bit of copium, but it is what it is. The work-life balance is actually great. The people were much nicer. And what they say about people in tech is really true. They are really, really nice. And for the first time, I felt like I was learning things and I had an impact, and it was really exciting, honestly. And a year later, I got a promotion to become a manager. My salary went up to $105,000 and my stock options went from 20 to 30K a year. Now my total comp is around 135K. Okay, so you're probably thinking, wow, like that sounds like a pretty sweet, cozy gig. Damn right, it is very cozy, very good gig. And so why did I end up quitting? So there was mainly 3 reasons. So reason number 1, huge lack of control over my fate, over my salary, over my promotions, basically over everything. And that was mainly due to your manager, but sometimes it's not even a manager, it's your manager's manager. I've had some terrible managers, I've also had some great ones, but the thing is, I don't even control who my manager is. I worked in corporate for 4 years and I've had fucking 6 managers. Like, they just keep turning over and switching over. What happens to you also don't have that much control over who is deciding what happens to you. The second thing is that it just felt draining. I mean, people say this, like working in corporate feels like you're putting on a show of some sorts. You're carefully curating the perception of yourself, and you just feel like you're wearing a mask and you're laughing at these corny ass jokes at these meetings, and you're talking in a way and a tone that you really wouldn't normally talk outside at work. And finally, reason number 3, when I looked ahead at people who were 5, 10, 15 years ahead of me, even though they get paid a lot more, which is great, it felt like the more that you moved up, the more meetings you have, the more you're involved with office politics, and there's just overall more BS than actual work. And that's just not what I wanted to do. But at the same time, I'm like, okay, I know that this isn't just my experience. A lot of people felt this way. This is kind of like a commonly known truth. You're not surprised to hear this stuff from me. Am I just supposed to suck it up? Is it just how things work? Should I just play the game? So what really made me take this leap of faith? Because to be honest, like when I think about quitting my job, it's fucking scary. You get this consistent bi-weekly paycheck, and it's a whole world of just pure unknowns out there. I have no idea how to run a business. 0 clue. So fun fact, what made me take this leap of faith was really just going to this string quartet concert by Zhao Hisaishi. But before I tell you that, I need to give you a bit of context. So my dad was actually an entrepreneur back in China, but he left it all behind to give me and my sisters a better future in Canada. And since then, he's worked blue-collar jobs to provide for the family. And he would tell me all these stories about him building and running and growing his business, overcoming all these crazy challenges, and how hard he was working. I don't know if this is a common experience, but you kind of want to live up to what he's done and his greatness. But at the same time, I was really worried that I just didn't have the work ethic. Like the way that he would describe the amount of shit that he's been through and the amount of hardships that he's been through. I mean, he survived the tail end of the Cultural Revolution. I grew up middle class in the suburbs, and part of me just feel like I was comfortable. I didn't have that dog in me. I wasn't your typical entrepreneur who had a lemonade stand and sold Pokemon cards and tried to sell snacks and was itching to start a business all the time. I wasn't sure if I wanted to do my own thing at all. So fast forward to September of 2022 is a cool Saturday. Me and Sally, who's my fiance and girlfriend at the time, we went to this string quartet concert by Zhao Hisaishi. He's the famous composer behind the iconic Studio Ghibli scores. You're just sitting there, you're listening to the music. I'm just lost in thought. What I started thinking about was just childhood. As much as I love my dad and this isn't his fault, he was definitely there and he was present, but it was just limited because he had to work so hard and he just didn't have the luxury of the time and the energy. So I have 2 older sisters. They both have husbands and really cute, adorable kids. My oldest niece is 11 years old. She's absolutely adorable. My brother-in-law runs his own business. She loves tennis, and so in the summer, he'll go and play tennis with her for literally like 4 or 5 hours on a Thursday morning. He packs their lunch every single day. He gets them to school and he picks them up. And it just made me think about what kind of dad I wanted to become. He really kind of showed me what was possible if you had that luxury of time. That's what I really, really wanted. And I realized that if I wanted to be that kind of dad in 5 to 7 or 10 years, I can't just wait till then to quit my job and start my own business. I'm not saying, quitting your job and doing your own thing is the only way to achieve that, but that's just what I saw. That's just the path that I saw in my life because I didn't know other dads who were working 9 to 5s who could spend that much time with their kids. But on a side note, this isn't a knock on you can't be a good dad if you have a 9 to 5. I don't think that's the case at all. That's what really clicked and sank in for me. I realized that I can't afford to wait for tomorrow. If it's for something I really cared about, it's still scary. It's just worth doing despite the fear. And so the next Monday, I had a one-on-one with my manager, and I was sweating, I was nervous, my heart was beating out of my chest, but I just said, hey, this is my 2 months notice, and that was it. Fun fact, I actually didn't run this by my parents. I usually run these big decisions by them, but I just needed to know for sure that I was gonna just do it regardless. I didn't want their encouragement, I didn't want their discouragement. I needed to be able to do it on my own. Okay, so you might be wondering, okay, what is it really like after you quit your 9 to 5? How has it been going? So it's been a year and a half, and fun fact, both me and my fiance, we both quit our jobs to basically start our own paid ads agency. So basically we script, shoot, edit, and launch paid ads for internet businesses. Honestly, it's just straight up the hardest thing I ever done, but it's also extremely fulfilling. So in the beginning, before I actually quit my job, I've already had about 4 clients on the side. So I'm not going to this like just completely raw dogging it and just saying, oh my God, I'm gonna make $0 next day. Let's just see how it goes. I had some income and I could pay the bills, but then right after I gave in my resignation letter, a month after that, I ended up losing 2 of them. So I went from 4 to 2 clients. I lost 50% of my income, and the clients could come and go and the paycheck could come and go. And I've never experienced that before. I really felt financially insecure for like the first 6 to 7 months. Like it's that feeling, I don't know if you relate, but like you're at the airport, you don't know when your next meal is, so you're worried and you're just like, buy another burger just in case and put it in my bag. That's just what it felt like, but financially for the first like half a year. But overall, it's been going pretty good. Like I said, we've grown to a full-time team of 13 people. And now I just want to make videos online because 1, I grew up watching YouTube and I just think this is really cool and I want to do it. And 2, I'm kind of sick of these fake gurus just glorifying this lifestyle. I just want to share with you the raw and unfiltered lessons and stories along the way. I've been too busy running my business, so lucky for you, I don't even have a fucking course to even sell you. There isn't even like a free lead magnet, like comment something or check a link. There's none of that. If you're curious about what it's like running and growing your business at 27, yeah, just follow along. Appreciate it.